Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good morning to everyone. Hope everyone is doing well at home with the current COVID situation, which is getting worse now. Hopefully, everyone is safe back home or wherever you are. So, as for today, we are going to continue our uh, IOHK Talk Series 2 for 2021. Hopefully, everyone can gain a bit of benefit from it as long as what has been happened. So without further ado, I'm going to invite Assistant Professor Dr. Muhammad Yusuf Muhammad to deliver his talk. فليتفضل مشكورا.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad. Kama sallaita ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim. Wa barik ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad. Kama barakta ala Ibrahim innaka Hamidum Majid. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa hlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Before I start, I would like to have any feedback whether my sound is clear. Is my sound clear?
Yeah, everything is all right.
Alhamdulillah.
In
Okay.
order.
So let me share the slide first so that we can benefit, inshallah. Okay, I hope clear. The slide is clear, Dr. Azrul.
Yes, it's clear, very
Okay.
clear.
First of all, let us express our highest gratitude towards Allah the Almighty. Due to His will and permission, we are able to gather online virtually this morning. And I would like to again thanks Dr. Azrul for allowing me to share. I'm always considering myself as a student, like most of the participants here, and I'm considering as sharing part of the knowledge that I learned, that I know, to share to all of the students, to all of the staff, so that we can benefit better. It's not that I'm a scholar or what, but the thing is, we all are students, learn every day. Every day we learn something new. And by giving this lecture, I hope it is a remembrance for me and for those who are listening. As mentioned in Surah Al-Zariyat, chapter 51, verse 55. فَذَكِّرْ فَإِنَّ ذِكْرَ تَنْفَعُ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. That give remembrance. Indeed, remembrance is benefit to the mu'minin. So ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, in every day in our life, as a human being, good things, right? Regardless how bad we are, at least we have some goodness in our heart, right? At least we did something, and that particular thing turned to be good, Allah. So everything, daily, our life, we always do good things. Especially in the pandemic nowadays, a lot of campaign been done. Of course, there are some polemics regarding a white flag. I'm not going to mention that. But the thing is, a lot of ways of us doing good things to others. We start helping others. We find poor people and charity, and we this is our interaction with humans. But to Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala, some of us recite Quran, do perform tahajjud, etc. and etc. However, we need to understand as well, and an enemy that promised to Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala that will dictate us until the day of judgment. And this enemy is Shaitan. Even Quran mentioned in Surah Al-Fatir, chapter 35, verse number 6. Inna shaitana lakum aduun fattakhizuhu aduwa. That indeed Shaitan is our enemy, and make him as enemy. When I mention Shaitan, gender, okay, please don't get me wrong. Sometimes it's difficult to describe in English. Dia bukan maksud dia lelaki, tak macam we say history kan. History is not her story. History. It's not gender bias, okay? For a simple in presentation, just referring shaitan as him. So Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala asks us, command us to make shaitan as our enemy. So when we go for a war for this particular enemy is smart and intelligent, whereby it will diversify his weapons. Kan? It will use all means on to how to defeat us, and it depends to a person. Sometimes a person may not have a lot of amal. You become very lazy, not doing anything. Okay, fine for that. Sometimes shaitan will come in another form to discourage in terms of giving some inclination to us to do good things, but at the end of the day we have riyah. Right? And inshallah I shall discuss how the shaitan do that based on some scholars' interpretation. So shaitan did not comes in form of, with two horns and etc. in front of us for us to know that it is shaitan. It can simply ask us to feel good and show to the people what we have done, which eventually going to nullify or annihilate all of our deeds. So inshallah, in this particular lecture, I have put this particular book, and this book is good. Most of my presentation I took from this book. You can find it online, I think. And I have read this book, mashallah. But when I want to prepare this slide, I left this book in my office, so I couldn't read it. But I read it, and I remember some of the information. I put it in the slides, inshallah. So let us go and define. Now, what is riya? Some of us have a lot of interpretation when we mention what is riya. Kan? Sometimes a person jangan bantu orang-orang ni semua yang angkat bendera putih ni semua, kita bukan tahu orang, senang je kita judge orang, kan? So what is riya all about? Scholar mention about riya. Riya comes from the word ra'a, which means to see in Arabic. When you see something in linguistically, that means ra'a. So riya comes from the words ra'a, ru'ya. Ru'ya, another meaning is dream, and it become riya. Okay, riya and sum'ah is interrelated. So when you do a particular deed and you want to show it to the people, that's considered. You want it to be heard of, then it becomes sum'ah. So some scholars says is a simple thing here, a simple relation between sum'ah and riya. In terms of the fiqh or the correct understanding, or what we call that, the continuing. So let's refer to this particular hadith as mentioned in Ibn Majah by Abu Sa'id al-Khudri radhiyallahu anhu, that Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was discussing about Dajjal, and the Prophet sallallahu said to them, "Shall I not tell you about something that tell you about my greater fear to you than the Dajjal? Ala ukhbirukum bima huwa akhwafu alaykum in." Prophet said in another hadith mentioned about shirkul asghar. Another hadith mentioned about shirku as-sarair, which means a hidden or a small shirk. Then the Prophet says, "An akuma rajula yusalli," and a particular man, a person, when he prays and he beautifies his prayer when he sees somebody is looking at him. This is a normal situation, right? We're praying, we put our hands, and usually at home we only read Surah Al-Ikhlas or Surah Al-Falaq or Surah Al-Nas. When we go to the mosque, it seems very good. And when somebody saw us, we can, of course, we're not looking like this, yeah. Maybe we just, you are praying, you start beautifying your voice. You start beautifying your recitation, because you have a voice like a Malik, for example, in Makkah. So you start beautifully because you want a particular person knows that you are having a good voice, right? So basically, When we mention about riya is that number one, we are doing a certain deeds, and these particular deeds only deserve to Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala. Number one, and you want to do it because you want to gain a worldly gains. Automatic, you want to be noticed, you want popularity, as mentioned by Imam Al Ghazali. You want to have like, you want people to know your position, your goodness. So, how does that relate to shirk asgar? Because you are not doing it for the sake of Allah. You are doing it for the sake of people. So this is different in a situation whereby when you do a particular ibadah, then you have early gains. That's fine. For example, when Prophet ﷺ asked Bilal to pray, and Prophet said, "Arina bi salah," just rest salah. It's fine. When you do salah, you have early gains, which is a rest or relax. But when you do a particular deeds, not for Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala, but for a person or for people, for popularity, to mention to the people that you are something in the eyes of people, you want to show that, mashallah, you are a good person, and etc. This is considered as riya. Later we shall see some of these, okay? Or even you want to left something, left amal because of people, that's considered as riya. I shall mention later on. That's why some scholars mention, for example, Imam Ibn Hajar Asqalani in Fathul Bari mentioned, huwa izharul ibadati liqasdi ru'yatil nas. You do ibadah with the intention that people are looking at you, so that you get praise from them. That's the, you do something in front of people, that particular things, the deeds is to Allah Subhanahu Wa Ta'ala, but yet you're doing it for people, you want popularity, you want people to praise you, and at the end of the day, you want to show to the people you are somebody. Okay? So this is easy understanding of riya. Of course, there are many interpretation by scholars, but I'm not going to mention in detail about it. Okay? Now, what about in Quran? What does Quran mention about riya? In Quran, contextually, we can find at least 5 verses pertaining to riya. But I'm just mentioning few of them, and some of them will mention later on. For example, in Surah An-Nisa, chapter number 4, verse number 142, that Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala said, pertaining to the munafiqs, وَإِذَا قَامُوا إِلَى الصَّلَاةِ قَامُوا كُسَالَى يُرَاءُونَ النَّاسِ. I couldn't see the verse. Okay, let me okay, fine. وَلَا يَذْكُرُونَ اللَّهَ إِلَّا قَلِيلًا. That surely the hypocrites try to deceive Allah, Allah leaves them in the deception, and they stand for salah, they stand up lazily, only to show to the people, not to remember to Allah Subhanahu Wa Ta'ala. In another verse, in Surah An-Nisa again, chapter 4, verse 38, that وَالَّذِينَ يُنْفِقُونَ أَمْوَالَهُمْ رِئَاءَ النَّاسِ وَلَا يُؤْمِنُونَ بِاللَّهِ وَلَا بِالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ وَمَنْ يَكُنِ الشَّيْطَانُ لَهُ قَرِينًا فَسَاءَ قَرِينًا. Likewise, for those who spend their wealth to show off and do not believe in Allah on the last day. In this particular verse, Allah equates those who are committing riya with munafiqs. Because munafiqs at the time of Prophet ﷺ, they recite the kalimah in front of the Prophet, they embraces Islam, but yet when they do amal, it's not for Allah Subhanahu Wa Ta'ala. They just want to show that they are actually Muslim, but at the end of the day, they have problem with their heart. And in this particular verse, we can see they are lazy. When they want to do sadaqah, they want to show to the people. When they want to pray, they have laziness. But now comes the question: Is all laziness can be equated to munafiqs? Right? We can say it is sign of munafiq. It is sign of munafiq. And when we mention about riya, another question comes to us is that why Prophet ﷺ said that the riya, as mentioned in the previous hadith, is similar to minor shirk. We already discussed that. Why it is more fearful to the fitnah of Dajjal. Right? Because we know the fitnah of Dajjal is the greatest fitnah. It mentioned in the hadith, every prophet has mentioned about Dajjal. Right? And we know in our situation nowadays, even some of the interpretation mention we are in the midst of the emergence of Dajjal, based on some hadith. I'm not talking about conspiracy theory, but the thing is, the difficulties in the end of the time is related to Dajjal. So how can Riyah become more fearful to the Prophet? Some scholars says it is because it's very difficult to battle Riyah. It's a constant battle. It is a everyday battle because you do deeds every day, right? When you do a good deeds every day, definitely shaitan will come to you and fight you every day. Okay, so that is why scholar says, as for Dajjal, it will come at the end of the time, and when it comes, definitely it's going to become the greatest fitnah. But the constant daily deeds that we are doing, Shaitan will come to us and say, okay, you are somebody, you need to show to the people, etc. and etc. So sometimes you're going to lose all of your good deeds. That is why some scholars says, because it is a constant battle every day, right? And it's very difficult. It's very difficult, as mentioned a lot of scholars, because it requires a beautiful heart. It requires a strong heart, as the mind needs to think, as the body needs to train, right, to become sadhu, right? Definitely your heart also needs training. Your heart needs training, right? That is why I mentioned in Quran, in Surah Shuara, chapter number 26, verse number 80 to 89. Yawma la yanfa'u malun wala banun illa man atallaha biqalbin salim. The day that there will not be benefit, your wealth or your children, but only one who comes to Allah with a sound heart. And to have a sound heart is difficult, and you need to have a lot of um, determination. That is why a scholar like Imam Sufyan as-Sawri, one of the great scholars, mentioned that ma'alashtu shay'an ashadda alayya min niyati. That it's not, it's very difficult for me to cure. Nothing is difficult to cure except in my own intention, because the hearts keep change. Ya mukallibal qulub sabbit qalbi ala dinik. When Anas asked the Prophet ﷺ about the heart, and the Prophet said, hearts can change. You know, it can turn over. That is why we always ask Allah to make us firm in our heart. So one of the ways that to be in the battle is to have a constant good heart, mashallah. We're going to discuss that later. So basically in Quran, 5 times is mentioned in different contextual, and Allah equates those who are doing riya to munafiqs, and mostly on the certain particular ibadah, and even mentioned in Surah Al-Kawthar, Surah Al-Ma'un, الذي فوائل musallin, right? Verse 100, verse 4 to 7. Let's mention that فوائل musallin الذين هم في صلاتهم ساهون الذين هم يراءون. Similar verse, that when a person performs salah, he performs in a situation he wants to show to the people, and we shall mention that further later on. Now, this is a wonderful hadith that really reflect to us. When we mention about riya, as mentioned in Sahih Muslim, it's a long hadith. So I try to grab few here and there, whereby you have a three particular good person in the day of judgment. One is the martyr, which means those who are die in battlefield. Kita panggil orang mati syahid, kan? Second, those who are reciting Quran, hafiz and hafizah, right? We know there are so many good things about remembering, hufaz, memorizing the Quran, hamilul Quran. You get a lot of benefits. Iqra'u Quran fa innahu ya'ti yawmal qiyamati syafi'an li ashabi. Right? Recite the Quran, it come at the day of judgment as intercessor. So if you recite the Quran, it becomes an intercessor. When you memorize Quran, mashallah, definitely will benefit you. So, and the third person is the person who are having a lot of charities, that you spend money to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So these three person being brought to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at the day of judgment, then Allah will ask them, what did you do? So the first person will say that I fought for thee until I died as a martyr, Allah will say, Kadhabta, you have told a lie. You thought that you might be called a brave warrior. So imagine this person, he's put his all effort in fighting for the sake of Islam, and we as a person, we saw him, we say, MashaAllah, he's good, etc., etc. But at the end of the day, we never know. At the end of in the day of judgment, he actually did that to be called as a brave warrior. Imagine, okay? And the second person is Hafizul Quran. Of course, we are very happy to see a lot of students memorize this Quran and etc. But that particular person, and Quran speaking Allah and say, "Kadhabt, you have told a lie. You acquired knowledge so that people might call you a qari, as a scholar who recite the Quran, so that it might be said he's a hafiz such and such. He's a scholar such and such. So you want people to mention you all of this title. That is why be careful, ladies and gentlemen. If we refer to our early scholars, etc., etc., because they want to humble themselves. They don't want people to call them Allama, Al-Mujahid, Al-Shahid. We must be very careful. When a person die, of course, we have a good intention that, mashallah, is going to die as a mujahid. But we never know what's the end of that particular person. We only know a position of a person when it's mentioned by Quran clearly, like the Sahaba, for example. But for others, we only can make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Never know the final end of that person. We only have a good perception towards him. But to call a person directly as shahid, we must be very careful. We must be very careful. Okay? And the third person, those who the money in every cause, and Allah asks them, what have you done? You say, I spend in every cause in which you wish that you should be spent. And Allah say, you are lying. You did so that it might be said to you, he is a generous person. MashaAllah, he is very good, right? And you want person to acknowledge that. Sometimes you become very angry when person do not acknowledge you. So all of these things are part of the riyah as mentioned in hadith. But ladies and gentlemen, I need to mention as well that uh, the third thing that I forgot to mention in definition of riyah, other than you show to the people and you want to gain popularity, you must have the intention. You must have the intention. Now, when a person do all of this criteria, it is the person itself knows whether he actually make riyah or not. Others cannot judge. And we as a Muslim, when we saw somebody doing good things, we cannot simply say, oh, ni riak je ni. Oh, jangan. We never know people's heart. And we're not God. We are not to take the position of God. We only have good perception. Although sometimes we can see a strong indication. A strong indication, right? Unless it's a very clear cut, there's a motive behind a certain action, then Allah knows better. Right? But at the first junction, we should always have a good perception when somebody doing good things. Now, what's my time now? I need to check time. Okay, it's half an hour, inshallah. What is the mechanism of Riyah? Now, when you do in scientific studies, you always discuss about mechanism, right? And when you do a lot in labs, you have certain mechanism, or in physiology, you are studying the mechanism, etc. So even in Riyah, we have mechanism, or means how somebody can fall in the trap of Riyah. So before I go further in explaining about these things and sharing about these things, bear in mind, I'm not pointing to any of you or any person in a university or any, no, I'm not pointing to anyone. So we take this as a muhasabah for us, because sometimes I myself might do all these things. So I'm sharing this as a muhasabah. I ask Allah at the same time, I ask to not to fall in the trap. Number one, some scholars says, when you are to show your faith. Imam Al-Ghazali has mentioned this clearly in Ihya Ulumuddin. For example, some person wants to show that himself as a slim person with sunken eye, with dry face, because he wants people to know that he actually do a lot of ibadah. He wants people to know that he actually entered to perform tahajjud at night. He wants people indirectly, although he didn't mention anywhere, right? Or another way of doing it is that in appearance, you might want to show people that you are clothes, etc. Koyak sana, koyak sini. You want to show to people you are actually zuhud, right? Or let's say you are a rich person. All of the community know you are a rich person. You have a kapcai motor, but you want to show to the people you are going to masjid with kapcai motor, so that people will call you, Masya Allah, this person is zuhud, right? Imam Ibn Jauzi in his Talbis Iblis, he's mentioned a lot of these examples. Because, another way, you are great, mashallah, you knowledge, but when you say I am this, I'm very, you just degrading yourself so that people will call you humble. Imagine, this is considered as riya, according to scholars. And this is talbis, that the deception of the devil. So that people will call you, oh, this person, mashallah, is humble. This person is this person is that, right? Okay, this is another form of riya. Other form of riya is that you want to show off during when you speech, when you talk to person. For example, in this PKP, maybe you have a business, mashallah, and you say, Alhamdulillah, my business is good, so and so, although the RMO or SOPs keep changing, but Alhamdulillah, my business went off, and I did duha 12 raka'ah. You can mention that as form of syukur, but to mention that you perform 12 raka'ah for what? So you only know what's your niyyah. Is your niyyah you want to tell people, okay, perform duha so that you can have more risk, or you want to say, oh, okay, my business is because my action, because I did duha any numbers of raka'ah, so Allah gave me this, right? Maybe when you want to despise others, see that person is not taking care of father, mother, or siblings, etc. Not like me. I'm thinking, see, when you are despising others, at the same time you are saying that you are not that person. So you want the people you are a good person, right? Or another example, when somebody has a calamity to him, prior to that you might have problems with him, right? So when musibah happens to him and we say, see that person, because he's fought with me last time, Allah give him musibah. How do you know? You have revelation from Allah to know that, right? So when you try to relate a musibah or pleasure to a particular person because of you, then this is form of riya. And another form of riya is that to people that you are having a lot of friends, good friends, salih friends, right? For example, in your phone, you have all you, Ustaz, and Ustaz here, Ustaz S, Ustaz M, Ustaz A, all Ustaz. And you told the people, see, I have a lot of Ustaz. Morning, I have my lunch with this Ustaz. Evening, this Maulana. Night, this is Allama. You tell to all the people so that people will think, oh, this is, you are having good friends, so you are good. Right? So be careful, my dear brothers and sisters. We need to ask about riya comes in many forms. And another is showing off to actions, as mentioned. And the timing of riya. What are the stages of riya? Because the riya can come before the action has been taken. For example, you want to donate 50,000 next month, and you start putting on Facebook and etc. You are going to do that, blah blah blah. Okay, you mentioned that, and you are become boasting yourself. Okay, I think I have done a good job for this, right? So when you start thinking of these things, and you want to show to the people, you have the intention in your heart, this is considered as riya. Or even while doing the action. For example, we mentioned in the first hadith just now, when a person pray in the mosque, Of course, initially he started his intention to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But yet when he realized a person came to the mosque, then he starts switch his intention. So this happens during the riyah. What about after the action been done, right? For example, after a few years, and you went for Hajj for 3 times, for example, right? And some person comes to you, and he brought food for you, and you mention to him, "Oh, okay, the food came to me after the third Hajj I did." That person didn't ask you how many Hajj that you did, but you want to simply tell him that you have done 3 times. Although you are talking about the food, but indirectly you want to impose that idea to that person. So be careful, my ladies and gentlemen. All of this, there are many forms you can apply it yourself as a student, as an administration, as a department, as a staff. All of these things can come in many forms. And later we shall talk about how to cure all of these things, inshallah. Now, what are the implications of riyah? Right? There are many implications as mentioned. As mentioned in the hadith, number one is that if you refer to the previous hadith that I mentioned just now, that the three particular persons you still can remember, which is the Qari, the Mujahid, and those who make sadaqah. In the day of judgment, most of the riyah, and of course, the implication is in the day of judgment. So when you come to the day of judgment, number one is that Allah will abandon you. Allah will abandon you. In an authentic hadith in Sahih Muslim as mentioned, قال الله تبارك وتعالى أنا أغنى الشركاء عن الشرك من عمل عملا أشرك فيه معي غيري تركته وشركه. That Allah Almighty said, verily, I have no need any partners. Whoever performs a deed in which he associates partners other beside me, I will abandon him and his partner. Right? We are doing a lot of things, but at the end of the day or the day of judgment, there's nothing left for us, and Allah abandoned us. Right? And another hadith mentioned that Allah will ask us to go to find those people that we show off, we boasted to that particular person, ask from him to the reward, ask from him to take you out of hell. It's serious. And the question as mentioned here in this particular hadith, in this particular Quran, verse of Quran, that our goods will be nullified. Auzubillahi minasyaitonir rajim. Ya ayyuhalladzina amanu la tubtilu sadaqatikum bil manni wal adha. Kalladhi yunfiqu malahu ri'a an-nas. Lillahi wal yawmil akhir. Oh, you believe, do not nullify your acts of charity by boasting a favor, by causing hurt, like the one who spends his wealth to show off before people. Now, when you are doing a charity, I'm not saying that you shouldn't mention to others, okay? Because we have another verse in Quran, Al-Baqarah chapter 271, that you can, either you want to show or you want to conceal. It depends on your intention, it depends on niyyah. If you have a good intention, you are a good person, you always do it every day, every time, or maybe it becomes a frequent things for you to do, then it is fine to show to the people. There are certain people who are poor, you want to help them, but you are showing that you yourself have started it, then it is fine, right? But when you do it for the sake of riyah, imagine, we are not a good person, we are deeds in our life. And with these small deeds, when we go to the day of judgment, we have problems with others, we have zalim with others, and our deeds have been transferred to him, his sin going to be transferred to us. Good deeds are nothing. Imagine. So just because we do good things to people, do not be easily satisfied, because the danger of riyah is there. So the second part is all of these good deeds can be annihilated, can be obliterated, it can be destroyed because of riyah. And Other implication is that this is something that very, I'm not sure how to say it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as mentioned in one of the hadith, reported by Jundub. قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم فدنوت منه فسمعته يقول قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم من سمع سمع الله به ومن يرائي يرائي الله به. In Sahih Bukhari is mentioned, whoever acts or done something to be hurt, Allah will make him hurt. Whoever acts to show off, Allah will show him off. Which means at the day of judgment, as mentioned by Imam Nawawi here, Allah will disgrace him. Which means those who are ostentatious in his deeds, publicize it to the people so that people honored him, aggrandized him, and publicize it to the people at the day of judgment, Allah will disgrace him. So all of these things we do, Allah will abandon us, Allah will disgrace us, we will drag and thrown to the hellfire. Na'uzubillah. Okay, that occasion of doing riyah, because it is shirk. We are not doing for the sake of Allah alone. We are doing for the sake of people. Now, having said that, okay, with all of the examples that I given just now, so now we've become afraid to do good things, right? Because we think, oh, okay, because of a lot of these implications, I'm not going to do anything. I'm just sit at home, keep quiet, and just do the basic things that are good enough for me. Yeah, this is nothing wrong with that. But the thing is, in Islam, we are encouraged to do the best. We are encouraged to do the best with good intention. Okay? There are certain ibadah you must express it. You cannot conceal it. For example, in Haji, right? Haji you cannot do. You ask people why you are not going to do talbiyah, etc. You say, I'm not going to do riyah. I'm not riyah. That is not. It's out of context. Or for example, a muazzin, you ask that Pak Bilal, kenapa tak azan hari ni? Oh, saya tak nak riyah. Itu bukan. Because azan is syiar of Islam. You need to do azan. Okay? A certain syariah. Or for example, the Hajj is coming, right? For the ibadah of slaughtering. Of course, in our pandemics, it's limited. But you cannot simply ask the person who are going to slaughter the cow and say, why not going to slaughter the cow? Oh, I'm not doing this. This is riyah. No. This is a syiar of Islam. You need to express it, to show it, because it's part of syiar of Islam. So this is not considered as riyah. The second is that sometimes we do a certain ibadah, when we join a certain person or a group person doing it jama'ah, motivate. This is not considered as riyah. According to Ibn Qudamah, he mentioned this is something that a normal behavior. Sometimes we are a bit lazy, yes, right? But when we join in jama'ah, it inspires us, motivate us, so that when we go back alone, we are going to continue it. Right? It is different when you do something alone, but in jama'ah, you want to show to the people. That is different at all. Give an example. Say to your family, okay, let us fast on Monday. It's sunnah to fast on Monday. It's a bit, of course, all the families, if they're not fasting, you are fasting alone, and the temptation become high, right? So when all the whole family fast, it's easier for you to have iftar later on. Okay, this is something acceptable, although there's a fine line there, right? But it's not considered okay, in certainty. And the third thing is that when we do something, we do it in the best form. Right, the staff of the department, when been asked by the HOD to do a certain job, they say, no, I'm not going to do this. This is riyah. This is not riyah. This is amanah and trust. Okay? As mentioned in the hadith here by Imam Tabrani in Mu'jam al-Awsat and many of the other narrations, that Allah loves that whenever any of you does something, you should perfect it, done in the best way. So when a person do it in the best way, this is not considered as riyah, right? Or imagine you want to now we have a performance base, right? apart and etc. Sometimes they mention to you, you are winning this award and etc. etc. That is fine. The only is that when you start boasting yourself, you start boasting yourself, you start trivializing others, you start thinking that you are superior to others. When you are based on performance, that is fine, but be careful because we have a thin line there. Now, let us go for remedies of Riyah. This is the most important. Let's say in my 40 minutes now, you do not know anything at all, or maybe you lost anything during this online virtual presentation. I'm hoping at least we have tried our best to remember these 8 areas of Riyah. Number 1 is that perform istighfar and dua. Because, ladies and gentlemen, it is not easy for us. It is not easy for us to battle for Riyah. It comes every day. It comes every day at any form, at any time. Any good deeds that we do, Shaitan will come and inspire us and infiltrate us and give us some inspiration or inclination to do Riyah. Although we ourselves in our heart might have the inclination, but Satan will add more. Satan will add more. Okay. If it is something that struck your mind or struck your heart, istighfar, ask Allah Subhanahu wa Taala to forgive our sin. And Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, Subhanallah, is so much forgiving. It's mentioned in the hadith, Inna Allah tajawaza an ummati ma waswasat bihi suduha ma lam ta'mal aw takallam, in Imam Bukhari, in Sahih Bukhari, which means Allah Subhanahu wa Taala will forgive from Ummah Muhammad sallam for those who have whispering in their heart. Which means when Shaitan gives the whisper, we know it is a whisper of Shaitan. We fight, we battle. Allah Subhanahu wa Taala will assist us, and as long as we do not agree with it by saying it or doing it, when the whispering comes to our heart and we acknowledge and agree with it by doing it or by saying about it, then we are fall in the trap of Riyah. So one of the dua that mentioned by in hadith, we always recite this dua. We can recite this in any time or even in prayer before salam. Allahumma inna na'udzubika min an nushrika bika shay'an na'lamuhu wa nastaghfiruka lima. Allah, I seek refuge in you that I associate something, anything with you, while I know it, and I seek your forgiveness for what I know. Because we never know. We are having a lot of this in our everyday, right? Sometimes we mention it purposely. We want to show to the people we do things, right? Unless we need to justify certain things. Yeah, we need to justify certain things. For example, politicians, they might need to show to the people what they do. That's not Riyah. Because it is trust and amanah. He needs to show to the people he did something for the people. Simply, why didn't you do this? Oh, saya bukan Riyah. Oh, no. Because it have some other problems that if they not mention about what good things he done, then people start thinking that this YB is not doing his work. So in this particular area, it is not considered as Riyah. Okay, but what we are saying here is that our personal amal, as I mentioned here, perform all deeds continuously in the same manner. Which means if we pray 2 raka'ah or tahajjud, 8 raka'ah, right, at night, in concealment, hiddenly, then when you join jama'ah or you join other groups, you are going to do the same. Okay, whatever good deeds that you do, either in hidden or either in publicly, you will do it in hidden. Of course, you need to increase when you do it in hidden, because there's a great story of these things. I'm not sure whether I have time to mention about this thing. It is still time. Okay. There's one tabi'in, Muhammad bin Munkadir, the student of Jabir bin Abdullah. One day, I summarize the story. One day, he saw in the mosque one person. This person never known in history. No one knows who is the person. Muhammad Munkadir didn't even not sure. They just know that this person is a shoemaker. As a black person, a shoemaker. During that time, there was a drought in Madinah, kemarau yang panjang. So what happened is that all of the Salihin in Madinah make istisqa, ask to Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, but the rains does not fall. So what happened was that at one night when Muhammad bin Munkadir was staying at the mosque, he saw one particular person, the shoemaker, came to the mosque and he prayed continuously at night. He raised his hand, asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala persistently, like, Ya Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, please give us rain to Medina. And the next day, or even after that, the rain heavily hit Medina. So the next day, Muhammad ibn Qadir was thinking, who is this person? All of the Sahaba asked for istisqa, nothing happened. But this one person persistently asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and at the end of the day, rain fall down. So he went to that particular person's house and asking him and knocking his door. He said, are you the one that I saw was praying? And become angry because he thought when he did that, no one was there. Muhammad bin Munkadir was there. So what happened is that the next night, during that night, Muhammad Munkadir tried to wait for him at the mosque. He didn't come. So he asked the person there, he said, after you met him at his house, he packed all of his belongings, he left Medina. He don't want to be known by anyone. Allahu Akbar. So there are certain ibadah that when you do it alone, and please don't mention all. But for example, you want to, some of us like to put dan tahajud, dan recite Quran. What's the intention? You want to tell to you are a good person, you do this, you do that, or you want to inspire other person. So you the only knows what you are doing. Ask sincerely about yourself. Why are you doing these things? You want to tell to people that you are good, right? So be careful. Be careful. The next is that try. Okay, this is almost similar with the first part I mentioned just now. Always hide our good deeds. So try to increase amal in hidden and not to remember about it. You only can remember your hidden amal when you want to do tawassul, which means when you are in difficulties, you ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Ya Allah, I did this and this, such, and certain day, a certain time. If you are, you accept this deed, please remove my difficulties. You can do this as part of the tawassul. Or else, just forget it. Try to forget it at all. Some scholar of Tasawwuf mention, as if when you go to pass moment, do you remember about your holiday that you pass? You're not going to remember, right? Unless you are sick, you want to do some pickle test. some scholars mention like that. As if in that situation, when you do good things, you're not going to remember at all. But some of us might think, okay, I want to do it hidden so that when I die, and some person will mention about it to my wife or to my family that I do such and such. Even that is considered as riya. So, of course, it requires a lot of things, a lot of effort and determination. And always be aware of the harms of riya. As mentioned just now, you're going to be abandoned, it's a disgrace, you're going to be dragged into the hellfire, all of our amal going to be nullified. So always think about these things. And this is something difficult. Avoid praising others too much. Sometimes, those persons are doing riya, they are not going to do riya if you're not going to praise him so much. Right? When we saw a person do good things, we can mention just to make him happy. The ones is good enough. But you are continuously, this person is good, this person young, vibrant, young researcher, blah, 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 good student, etc. And you mention it in front of him, you're going to spoil his heart. You're going to spoil his heart. So, if we love others, if we love our brothers and our sisters, do not praise him in front of him too much. As mentioned in the hadith, as in Sahih Muslim, إِذَا رَأَيْتُمُ الْمَدَّاهِينَ, means always make praise again and again continuously to a person. Atau kita kata kipas, kan, flattering. Atau orang kata jack kereta 4 tayar terbalik. Kan? Fahtu fi wujuhim turab. In hadith mentioned, throw sand in their face. And even Prophet SAW saw somebody praising others so much, the Prophet said, Qata'ta, you have cut his back. You are going to spoil him so much. And even somebody asks us about somebody else, we just mention, based on what I know, what I know, he is such and such, Allah knows best. This is the best. Sometimes we praise a person too much in front of him, we're going to spoil him, right? That's not, or maybe we are mentioning something that not deserve for him. dia tak ada pun, kan? Dia tak ada apa-apa pun kita create sebab kita nak bodek dia. Ini kena. So there's a two way of action, even for those who listen about this amal or saw this amal, and those person who are doing it. And number 6 is that guide our intention. As I mentioned to you, my dear brothers and sisters, our intention can change. We need to train our heart continuously with dhikr. We always do the same things. If we want to show to other people certain deeds, it is recommended in Islam. But remember our niyyah. Because man dalla ala al-khair kafa'ilihi. Right? Whoever want to show something to people as if he himself are doing it. Man sanna fil Islam sunnatan hasanatan kana lahu ajruha wa ajru man amila biha. It's mentioned in hadith that whoever institute a good practice will earn its reward. Which means in Islam you do good things and you show it to the people so that people that follow you will get the reward, and when he do it, you and him both going to get reward without your reward being diminished. So it's fine, but guard our intentions and engage with righteous person. I'm not saying this that as a discrimination, right? No, it depends on our own capacity. If our own capacity, we know that we couldn't mix with bad people because the bad people will influence us, then try our best to find a righteous person. Because it's a long hadith. I mentioned one of the hadiths that a parable of a good company and a bad company as like a seller of musk, perfume, and a blacksmith. Okay, when you go for a musk, those seller perfume, you might get a little bit here. They will put you right. They will put here your hands. Although you didn't ask, they will put it there. If you like the smell, it's fine. If you do not like the smell, then the whole day you're going to curse him. Okay, then you get some. And for those who are, as for the blacksmith, he will burn your clothes and you will notice a bad smell. This hadith not to despise those person, but this hadith want to mention is that sometimes we can get influenced by who our friends were. So engage with righteous person, righteous people, scholars, elderly, so that we can learn a lot of good things from them. Al-barakah ma'a akabirukum. In Ibn Hibban, hadith mentioned. Al-barakah sometimes with the old people, with the scholars, we can gain so much things. They give us a good nasiha for us so that we can improve ourselves. And finally is that remember death. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, death can come to us at any time. Even by listening to the lecture, even after this, I'm not making dua for you to die after listening to this lecture, but yeah, I'm going to tell us that death can come at any time, at any form. When we always think about death, we always think that we come to this world nothing, unless some of you are wearing clothes, but I know that none of us come in this world wearing something. And we're going to return to Allah with nothing. That is why one of the way for us to remember death is always go to the funeral. Go to the funeral, regardless any type of funeral. I mean Muslim funeral. You go there, you will remember that all of the things that we seek in this world will end up in this way. Mostly will end up in this way. So when we always remember about death, we always train our heart. Inshallah, we have ikhlas. And to know what is ikhlas and etc. require a separate lecture. Ikhlas is very difficult. As I mentioned here, a scholar of hadith, Sufyan As-Sawri, mentioned that he tried himself to cure his heart. There are some scholars mentioned even 20 years they try to train their heart. But sometimes we never know about what deeds that we done, right? We always want to mention to people what we do. So based on all of these things, this is just a sharing from me. Okay. In summary, try to do the best thing that we can, guide our intention, do not fall to the trap of riya. Always think what is the implication of it. Inshallah, Allah will guide us, and we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive us, inshallah. I think that's all from me. We still have another 5 minutes, I think. So I return back to Dr. Azrul. I apologize if I say anything hurt you at any time. This is just a sharing. I'm seeing my own screen without anybody here, so I'm thinking that I'm talking to a mirror. Okay, just a muhasabah for me. I hope all of us get the benefit, and I return back to Dr. Azrul. Yes, thank you very much. If any questions to ask or comments, sir. Terima
Thank you
kasih
very,
banyak.
thank you very
Silakan.
much, Dr. Yusuf, for a very fruitful, for very interesting and deep, uh, probably tazkirah or sharing session with us. Hopefully, everyone gain a lot from it, and also part of like remembering us about this as well. I just got like 3 minutes. Just a quick question: how can we differentiate between riya and ujub?
Dia and ujub, is it?
Yes, riya and ujub.
Okay, good question, Masya Allah. Actually, there are few terms. Number one, we have riya. Second, we have sum'ah. Riya and sum'ah is almost the same. Ujub is that when you are thinking yourself superior to others, or you like yourself so much. They call it a narcissist. Okay, which means you believe that, mashallah, I have done a lot of things, good things, mashallah. So you are thinking that, I'm a someone. You are liking yourself too much. That's ujub. As for takabur, because ujub can lead to takabur. Takabur means when you are developing yourself in such a manner, you are start trivialize other people. In one of the hadiths as mentioned in Sahih Muslim by Abdullah bin Mas'ud, that Prophet ﷺ said, no one has the weight of a seed of arrogance in his heart will enter paradise. Then a man said, but a man likes to have a nice clothes and nice shoes. And the Prophet said, verily Allah, in Allah Jamil, yuhibbul jamal. That Allah is beautiful and He loves beauty. But arrogance, al-kibr, batarul haq, wa ghamtun nas, is to disregard the truth and to look down upon people. These two characteristics. So when we mention about riya, it is mostly inside of you when you want to show off. But when talking about your own self, you're thinking you are so good, you are something, you like whatever you done, you think you are superior, that is ujub, and it can develop to takabur when you start trivializing others face to face, directly attacking others, criticize others, and you make mock of others. And when the truth comes to you, you're not going to listen. This is takabur. And the higher form of takabur, we know, like Iblis, right? Because when Allah asked him why he doesn't want to prostrate, he said that because of Adam was created from clay and he was created from fire. So that's the simple understanding. Inshallah, I hope all of us can understand.
All right. Thank you for the answer. I think I got one more question from the participant actually. Saya baca je lah dalam bahasa Melayu. So the question is, um, in our daily life, sometimes we show off our work in the social media nowadays because it's easy to access. In like in terms of to show you the good things and also like to inspire people about what we have been doing. So what is your take part on it?
Okay, that's why I said just now. When you do good things, you want to show it to people in social media, it comes back to your own intention. So if your intention just now is good, you want to show to the people, at least you want to remove any fitnah. Maybe somebody told that this particular person is not productive, not doing anything, not delivering anything. So you show that to remove the fitnah, that is fine. Or you want to inspire others, to motivate others, so that others can take benefit from it, it's fine. But if you want to show to the people you are superior, so that people can have something of you, and you want to raise your status, this is fine line for me. This is considered as riya for me. That is why when you put it at social media, think about it. What you want to achieve, right? Okay, this is one situation. Another situation is that things that is very good to share, but you don't want to share because you are going to have riya for that. So again, if this is good, this is necessity, you need to share it so others can benefit it, share. Because like Fodail bin Iyad mentioned, I think I did mention earlier. Riya also consider when you tarkil amal linnas, when you do not, you are leaving an amal because of a person. Kan, for example, you always pray 2 rakaat in your house. When you go to the mosque, you say, I don't want to pray 2 rakaat because I don't want people to tell me riya. This is wrong. This is riya actually, because you are leaving a certain amal because of people. We are doing a certain things because of people is considered as riya. When you are leaving a good things in amal, which means salat, zakat, puasa, and everything, not the general performance or what, because of, and it's encouraged in Islam, but you don't want to do it because you don't want people to think you riya, that is considered as riya as well. Careful not either fall either place. Unless there is hope that answers the question.
I think that's. Thank you, Dr. Yusuf, for a very brief answer, I suppose, because the constraint of time. So I think it's very concise. I hope everyone gain a lot from it. And I think we come to the end of our session. Thank you very much, Dr. Yusuf, for sparing a time for us just to give some thoughts. Hopefully, we can invite you again in the next session. Stay safe, everyone, given the current situation now, and make a good lot of deeds as today is Juma as well. So we finish our session with Tasbih Kafarah and Suratul
Thank you very much, Dr. Azrul and all. Apologize for anything. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi
Assalam. Thank you very much.
Jazakallah khairan, Dr. Azrul and Dr. Yusuf. Thank you.
Thank you.